So,
Mhm.
so yeah, welcome. I'm glad that you're not missing in the Washington wilderness like I thought maybe happened.
That's pretty much everything that happens in Washington is verbatim that movie, The Revenant, where you're just like
Getting
you're in the woods and a fucking bear gets you, and yeah, interrupts a lot of fucking podcasts. Not
yeah.
too many people know that movie is about podcasting.
Well, yeah, and that's I'm hoping it brings light to the whole podcasting like industry. Like it takes it mainstream.
The industry of
Yeah.
podcasting. Industry sounds like such a like productive word that like I don't want to apply it to something that you can just do on your ass and just like industry. I think like train tracks and shit, and like here it's like a USB port
What is your
and some
problem,
software.
doggy? My dog's out of the camera, but as soon as you came on to start the show, now she's like freaking out and coming. I think she wants outside, but that's not going to happen.
Well, she knows I'm the best, and
Yeah.
she's excited.
Well, I have heard, there's that a lot of people say animals can sense evil, like they just know when it's around.
That
So
that is true. That that has happened a few times where like I've met like a strange dog and you just get that feeling like it knows something about you and you don't know what dirt it got on you, but just like, man, this fucker really doesn't like me, and I suspect rightfully so.
I kind of feel that way about like babies too. Sometimes you see them and they're giving you that look like I know what you're thinking and you're a terrible person.
But I respect the dog. I
Well,
don't
yeah,
respect a
no,
baby.
no.
Like a baby thinks it knows shit. You don't know what the fuck it's like. Put fucking 24 years under your belt. See if you don't have any dirt on you, you little fucker.
Right.
And that's why people don't show me their kids anymore, because that rant always comes out.
Your kid very well could be evil and you just don't know it yet. That would be a
Yeah,
good way to
I live.
like. We've had so many friends that have babies, and instead of being like, "Oh yeah, your baby's cute," which 90% of the time is a lie. Most of the time, they're these like hideous, blobby-looking alien
Weird, yeah, weird.
things.
Like they're like puffy, but they have folds, and it's
Yeah,
weird.
and like big bug eyes and stuff. But you're like, "Oh yeah, cute," but
Yeah,
you should be like,
fucking
"Oh yeah, I wonder if your kid's gonna grow up to be evil."
just a lumpy, evil bags of shit. We're endearing ourselves to everyone we know who have
Those
children.
kids, and a lot of people that don't, they're just like, "Geez, these people are awful."
People who want kids
Yeah.
someday,
Or like
just
kids, or just have a
like kids,
general
just
respect for
have human
humanity. Like, yeah,
decency.
right.
Yeah, but
So,
it's not fun to be decent.
no,
So
not at all. I forgot we were supposed to start in our radio voices in honor of the fact that we're back on iTunes.
yelling about babies is my radio voice.
And that would have been a much better fucking name for the podcast. I would have to think that we'd have like 1 million followers already if we called this Yelling at Babies.
Yelling at babies.
That is. I mean, I like that. I might have to go scrap
it.
the 4 episodes we already have. Like, give me a second to pull Photoshop up and replace this logo up here. And welcome to the Yelling at Babies podcast. Are you a baby? Well, fuck you.
That's actually a pretty good title.
I know. I'm sad
I-
that just now came up.
That what are we like? Are we gonna lose our brand?
Yeah, we're
Like-
deeply ingrained in the American psyche. In the podcasting hall of fame.
Yeah, we get 4 downloads a week, so don't want to lose those guys.
I mean, we already pulled that like kind of sleazy trick move because a lot of times people don't want to get into a new podcast if they like pull it up and realize that, oh, I'm 100 episodes behind, because you have the feeling like, oh, I'll never catch up, which in our case is stupid because you're not missing anything if you join 100 episodes in. I mean, it's not like we have an ongoing story. But I get that. So we already pulled that like kind of sneaky move with like, oh, now it's the Njoystic show. We're on episode 5. We're really on like episode 247, but that's not the point.
Yeah, I actually advise you, if you do get into the show, just listen to the latest episode and keep going back a week if you feel like you need more. And I guarantee you, you'll get tired of it before you get to the parts that you really shouldn't listen to.
Well, that's the thing. Even if you don't get tired of it, as believe it or not, our quality has gone up like week after week as we've done this. So as you go backwards, the quality level goes down, and you'll get to that happy medium where you've had your fill, and also the quality, like the show is just that terrible now that you don't need any more of it. You'll find it, and you can
Right.
still find all the other episodes. Some of them are still on iTunes under just the Njoystic podcast. Some are on our website. They're just kind of sprinkled around the internet like fairy dust.
Like pretty much every podcast attempt has that doesn't stick around.
Yeah. Well,
There's some remnant of it, but you gotta kind of dig.
and yeah. And I really suck at this like podcasting. I just realized I didn't update the graphic. It is not January 20th, and Triple D's misspelled because I didn't catch that till I moved it over to YouTube. That was last week's show. Today would be the 27th. Watch, this will update as I type of 2016. And what did I call this one? Wild Kingdom, I think. Because we have a wonderful segment coming up at some point in this show. That I mean, you've my opinion of your Twitter skills has like increased 1,000-fold over the last couple days. Not that I'm saying it was low to begin with, but that's been some of my favorite
I think I'm
things.
pretty good at Twitter. I think I'm an underrated free agent on Twitter. You know, some big brand should pick me up because I think I deliver the goods every night in and night out.
If I had to describe my Twitter approach, I would say that I'm the Twitter version of Joe Pesci from Lethal Weapon, where you just are so annoying and pestering over and over again. You just never shut up until you just like force people to like come to grips with you. Like, yeah.
Yeah, you're very blunt and you're very aggressive and much like Joe Pesci, I block you from entering my property. So
So
you couldn't. We all know you can block Joe Pesci.
no.
He would somehow like I don't know how this happened, but he became fucking Tommy from Goodfellas after that role to me. Like even though that wasn't even the first movie I saw him in, and like he's been in great shit like My Cousin Vinny.
I was gonna say that's the one I always think of, but yeah.
But I always think of him as that angry motherfucker, just like, come on, Henry, and just breaks a glass over somebody's head and just fuck, dude.
You think I'm funny?
How the fuck am I funny? Yeah.
But see, it's funny because if it was me, you know, again, it's a good analogy. But instead of me saying like on Twitter, "How the fuck am I funny?" Like I'm pissed, I'd really be confused if you called me funny. I'd be like,
no,
"How?"
you'd
Like,
be
what?
like, why the fuck am I not funny?
What, am I not a clown to you?
You don't like my jokes? So,
No. So podcast
Video
stuff.
games.
I know you've been busy.
Biz-
I've
Very
seen that you. I haven't seen the streams because you're like this weird West Coast night person. But I know that you've been plugging away at Dark Souls. But I know there's something else you've been playing that you're probably more eager to talk about.
You would think, but I actually am enjoying these Dark Souls 2 streams quite a bit. They are late night because it's just the best time to settle down and yell for 4 hours before I have to go to bed. But yeah, that's still, there's no regular set time for that, but you should, if you're curious about it, you can follow me on Twitch. I'm McBizquick on Twitch, and it also notifies you on Twitter. So if you want to see me, I think the stream before last night's stream was probably the best stream I had in terms of progress and just content. I felt really comfortable streaming for the first time, I think. And then last night, not so much. But it was probably the most I've laughed at my own streams because I just piss whine for like the first 20 minutes because it's just like repeated death after death after death because I turns out that game's hard. And the jump button being the analog stick is still fucking stupid.
Yeah, that seems like the worst idea possible. Well,
Oh, it's
like I
so
said last week,
frustrating.
I don't like the analog stick, like the press the button part of that being a button for anything. I never like that. If you're gonna make it
It
something,
is
make it an inconsequential like car horn.
really something that doesn't require a lot of attention to like activate or deactivate. Like if that was the button for like detective mode in the Batman games or something, like I could live with that. It wouldn't be my preference. I prefer no fucking buttons attached to that shit at all. But like something, it has to be something like that like it's just more of a turn on, turn off thing rather than like a timing deal. But Dark Souls doesn't give a shit what you think games should be like.
Well, that's true. I mean, and that's not like that part's a surprise.
Yeah,
Right?
and in a way, that's what I love about Dark Souls
Mhm.
is that it knows exactly like they design it exactly how they want it to be designed, and fuck how you feel about it. Um, but yeah, it's sort of trying to juggle those streams while playing Mario and Luigi Paper Jam is a really difficult thing to do because I don't know if I talked about it a bit on the stream last night. Like I don't know if I'm in this place with Paper Jam where I'm liking it so much that I'm playing it so often, or I just feel kind of obligated to get ready for the review. And I feel like I'm pretty close to beating it. I feel like I'm at that point that always comes in like JRPGs where it's like, oh, I'm getting. I think I've leveled up so many times and stuff. I feel like I'm getting to the end. It doesn't look like this game's going to open up, and then it pulls the rug out from under you. Like, actually, there's a whole nother world after this, and I feel like I'm kind of at that point where it's about to reveal there's a whole nother section I have to go through.
Surprise!
Surprise. So surprise, Paper Mario being in Mario and Luigi Paper Jam is the best part of Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. Um, have you played any of those games?
No.
You
Well,
played
I
Stick.
played Sticker Star, and I didn't play that much of it.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe
Well,
a third to a half of the way through that, and it was
yeah.
good. I just yeah.
Well, this isn't the Mario and Luigi games play a little bit differently, and this is definitely a Mario and Luigi game rather than a Paper Mario one. Um, but Paper Mario, so do you understand the whole mechanics around it? Is that like one button controls Mario's jump and stuff, and then another button controls Luigi's, um, and that goes into like the gameplay. Even though it's still turn based and stuff, like the timing and stuff, you press their buttons to make them do certain things, and it's all mapped to that specifically. So this game sort of adds to that by giving you Paper Mario, and he has his own button. So now it's a 3 man party team thing, party team. And it doesn't really change much, but I feel like I kind of benefited. Like a lot of people are kind of burnt out on that gameplay after Mario and Luigi Dream Team came out. But I think I took that game off. So the last one I played was Bowser's Inside Story. So coming back to this and playing that gameplay again with this new character, it's really enjoyable. Like every attack or every defense has a little timing mini game to it. And it's just it adds a little more engagement to that formula. And I can hear you fucking typing, and
Yeah.
it's so distracting. I know
I
you're
can
typing
I can I
mocking bullshit.
no I tweeting out that you're talking about Paper Jam, but I can type louder. I That's one of the everybody. And it's funny because if you're a loud typer, everybody thinks you're a faster typer than you actually are. And every time, well, you don't because you're a writer, so you understand how that works. But yeah, my coworkers have always been like, "Man, you type so fast. I can hear it from in here." I'm like, "That's just because the keyboard's loud."
That's no. I'm a reasonably quick typer, but I'm not like I'm also pretty quiet, honestly. Like I'm not somebody who like needs to like slam his space bar when I'm on a roll, you know. But anyway, so the combat's really fun. Like Paper Mario has this unique twist. Like Mario and Luigi sort of play like their usual selves. Like it's just those characters, their abilities, and they have like tag team moves they can do that will do more damage, and they're special, unique games you have to kind of learn as you play. Um, Paper Mario has his own twist on it where at face value, he's depicted as like half as strong and half as useful as the actual Mario Bros. But he has this ability to copy himself. And the game starts you off, he can copy himself like 6 times. And later on, like I think I'm at the point where I can copy him 8 times. And you control all 8 of those Paper Marios until like enemies can keep killing him off. And that's kind of his defense for having less health is they got to kill off all the Paper Marios before they can actually hit the one. But that adds like all of his attacks. So Paper Mario, he can do his normal jump attack, but then when he jumps, he can do like, if you have all your copies, you have to time your jump 8 times because 8 Marios are hitting the same enemy. And once you do that, like you're doing like 4 times the amount of damage that like the other Mario and Luigi are doing. So I thought that was a pretty unique hook. Like I really enjoyed playing it and like getting a feel for all the new moves that they added. But it is kind of interesting. Like Mario and Luigi, Bowser's Inside Story was a pretty funny game. Not as funny as Paper Mario was, but it had its own sort of sense of humor, and that feels kind of sucked out of this one. Like there's nothing really funny, like, or at least not any funnier than a regular Mario game.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, there's fucking Nabbit again. He took all your shit.
And that seems like a shame because that's these kind of like Mario, I don't want to say spin-off, but these like other types of Mario games where they're getting away from just the standard Super Mario, whatever, or Mario Galaxy. It's like the best opportunity to get that Nintendo humor like into the. You don't have to stick with the like, oh, this doesn't make sense for them to be like all silly or whatever, because it's its own little world.
Well, you spend so much time reading dialogue in those games that like Paper Mario had to be funny, otherwise it would have been a nightmare to play. But like when it's not that funny, it is that chore of just like, okay, I'm listening to the fucking tutorial star thing that's been, for some reason, has been in this entire fucking series, like these Mario and Luigi games. This yellow fucker, just he won't shut up, and so you do have to kind of hammer through it. But that goes to like it doesn't solve that problem that the dialogue's not really that interesting, and the story is it's the same shit you always do. Peach gets kidnapped. There's a twist. There's paper creatures now. But then, like, it's still go fucking beat Bowser. And that is something I want to point out to Nintendo. Just, like, calling to attention that this happens all the time in these games does not make it okay that you haven't come up with a new idea. Like, you can't just make a joke about it and then, like, isn't it funny? Peach is in a cell with her paper counterpart. And, like, man, I hate when this happens. It happens all the time. Like, just saying that should be, like, that's on you. The person writing that dialogue.
Yeah, well,
it's up to you to change that.
I'm curious, how do you keep a paper princess in a cage? Because you'd think she could just kind of slip right through the bars.
Well, there you go. That's what she does. Yeah. But she can't get the other one out, so I don't know.
Well, Mario could. He only needs one. I mean, do you really need 2?
Well, that's Paper Mario's main squeeze. If there's 2 Marios, you need 2 Peaches.
Yeah,
end of story. But apparently you only need 1 Luigi, and that's bullshit. Like, if there's no Paper Luigi in this game, I riot. That'll knock the score down to a fucking 3.
Poor Luigi.
he gets shit on in
Yeah.
this entire series, and like it's starting to exhaust me a little bit. Where it's like I get that's the gag, but I wanted to like turn around on them because the joke is that like Luigi's actually cool and useful, and like the only thing they give him shit for is that he's like emotional in these games. Like he'll cry about shit and stuff, shit and stuff all at once. I totally have a voice for radio. Anyway, um,
That'd be a vocab. I mean, the voice is fine, but you're.
right. Yeah, I need somebody else to write all my dialogue for this. So,
Oh
so
man, that
now
would be
hire me.
fun. I want to set up a teleprompter type situation where you're reading as you go, just to see, like by about minute 47 when you're into the groove, if I can do that like asshole teleprompter thing where you start slipping like dumb things in and seeing if you'll read it.
Well, that would be like all those YouTubers who like they have their like they're trying to make their fucking political show just with like a webcam, and they're like reading off a like Word document, but they always like insist like no, this was off the top of my head. Like you're clearly reading.
Yeah, we can see
Like
your
nobody
eyes going back and forth and you scrolling down the
like
screen.
eyes don't stay static to a point that's like not on the camera. But anyway, the one thing that is kind of neat about the game, an idea I like that these games, frankly, have always needed, and especially if it's not going to be as funny to me, I'm glad they put this in, where like 99% of like the dialogue and tutorial stuff in this game, you have the option to hold the R button down and it will speed the whole thing up. So if you're like me and you're just mashing through shit becomes a lot faster. Um, like not, and sometimes you want that. Sometimes you want to be able to like go through the menu at your own pace. I'm a pretty fast reader, so even like the main story I am paying attention to, I just want to read it quicker. So that's a really handy button to add to it. Um, the other thing the game does that I think, well, there are two things the game kind of introduces that I really don't think I like at all. Um, the first is this: like every town you go to, you have to do these rescue Toad missions. And the game kind of got away from them a little bit later on, and I kind of like that when the challenges of navigating the world are not this arbitrary like collect 30 toads so they can build you a thing that'll take you to the next area. Like instead it's like use your powers because you got fucking Mario, Luigi, and Paper Mario there. They can do some cool shit. Like they can make themselves into a drill. They can, slingshot themselves across platforms and stuff. They have all this cool ways to like navigate this world, but you instead have me just do these stupid like run into toads, collect them in a line, and bring them back type challenges. And so like I prefer the game when it's more about like exploring the world comes through what you actually learn in the game and not just this arbitrary like go to the quest house and get the quest, and that's not just this game, that's really any RPG. Like I want to like feel like I'm actually going through the world because of like abilities I've earned and not because Nintendo said like fill up the counter and then we'll let you continue. And the game throws a lot of those at you. And they're not all the same. They're all different challenges pretty much, but they're like almost all of them are bad. Like they're really lazy. And like the worst one was that one I was talking about where you're just planted in this area and you got to collect 10 toads, 10 paper toads, and they just follow you in a fucking conga line. And there are these like sandworm things I'm sure there's some Mario aficionado who knows what they're actually called, but they're very forgettable to me. But they'll rise up, and if they eat one of your toads, then you're fucked. You got to restart. And you have to get all fucking 10 of them in one go. And like you think the idea is like there's some sort of strategy, like avoid the sandworm or something. there's no strategy. The way I figured it out is just sprint. And, like, sprint and, you know, hope you get lucky when you time your jumps so you don't have to do it too many times.
Oh,
You
that
know,
sounds fun.
and it's not frustrating because it's so hard. Like, I got it on my third try, but it's frustrating because it's not fun. It's like, this game's already a huge time sink. Like, it didn't need help. It didn't need this padding. Like, let me just fucking play the part of the game that I'm enjoying. And, like, the way I'm looking at it right now, like I said, this last few hours I've played of it, it's really kind of seemed to take the right approach, and I'm getting away from a lot of that horrible bullshit. But right now, as it stands, I think Paper Jam is a good game when it gets the fuck out of its own way. It feels like a lot of the stuff it tries to introduce, by going sort of over the top with it weighs the whole experience down. Like, if they just focused on the fact that you got Paper Mario who can do cool things in combat and out in the world, like, you would have a much better, well-rounded game. Instead, and this gets to the other thing I don't really like, instead you're collecting all these toads so they can build you these giant paper mache. I almost want to say robot, but they don't fucking do anything. Like, so you get all these paper toads and they build you a giant Mario, and you got to fight a giant baby Bowser or something. And so this Mario, he doesn't move. Like, there's no real tactic to it. Like, the toads just carry it. And it's kind of funny visually at first, but when you're playing it, like, all you can do is dash into enemies when they're about to attack you. Eventually you get different paper mache things, but they're not like things you equip. They're just at certain points in the story, like, now it's time to play as the Peach paper mache thing. And, like, all you do is time your dash to knock the enemy down, and then you, like, literally, like, springboard off this trampoline they're carrying your robot on, and it lands on them. And, like, and that's how you attack. That's how you do damage. That's how you win these fights. And there's always way too many enemies in them, and there's no satisfaction from killing enemies that way because there's no skill involved. There's no skill involved. There's no feeling like I built this cool thing and now I get to do all these great attacks. It's like, you know, here's how I beat Paper Mario. I beat it. You know, like,
Yeah. You wonder how much of that is them trying to make the game accessible to, like, young players. But
it's and that's the thing though. Like, the base game is not, like, hard, and it's not like the moves you get and stuff, they're so over the top and, like, fun to pull off that, like, I don't understand why it needed all this fucking distraction and fluff around it, except the fact that it's a Mario and Luigi game, and that's kind of always been their problem, is they're a little over padded, they're a little bit too long, they're not as funny as Paper Mario. And that's going to be the tricky thing, I think, when reviewing this game, is it makes me want a Paper Mario game so much fucking more. Like, because there's so many possibilities to, like, what you could pull off with that game. And just the sense of humor that universe has, like, it's the best stuff Nintendo's written from a, like, comedic perspective. And, like, and I have read rumors that they are working on a new one. But that doesn't mean anything to me if it's kind of another sort of, like, yeah, it's a Paper Mario game, but it's a sticker game too. And, like, I want a, like, classic turn-based RPG that I can just gorge myself on.
I want it to be Paper
like,
Mario.
Totally get lost. Like,
Paper Mario, the roguelike arcade fighting game. Like,
I want to hit you with a brick. But we all don't get what we want.
Well, yeah.
But but that's the thing I'm gonna have trouble with is like, I can't hold the fact that it's not a Paper Mario game against it. But damn, I really wish
Sure
it
you
was
can.
a Paper Mario.
I see reviewers do that all the time, typically from the smaller blogs like ours, where it's like, oh yeah, I played Dark Souls and it's no Grand Theft Auto 5. And you're like, no,
Well, yeah,
it's
like,
not.
it's the whole why doesn't BioShock have multiplayer argument? Like,
Yeah.
because that's not what BioShock is,
Right. But
I mean, two had it, so then that's what it became. But
so did you have
But
anything?
yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna just summarize.
Yeah.
Like I said,
In
it's a
summary.
really good game. It's a really good game when it gets out of its own way. I put a lot of time into it, and yeah, it's definitely it definitely caught me at the right time. If it came out at any other time this year, it might be fucked. I don't know if I'd be able to get into it as much, but I am enjoying it. I am glad that I picked it up. It's been a while since I've been able to play a turn-based RPG and really just be like, wow, 18 hours, but I can keep going. So that's a nice feeling.
Well,
I'm done
yeah.
talking.
Yeah. You're done talking. All right. See you next week. I haven't been playing anything new. Well, I got two things, and neither of which I don't think you'll care to hear about. Dragon's Dogma, I've still been playing a lot of that, and I am to that point that everybody warned me about, and it's like the big complaint of the game where now it's like, oh, I'm enjoying this game, but everything's like, here's a new quest. Oh, haha, asshole, it's on the other side of the island, and all you can do is walk there. Have fun. And they added a fast travel system, but like I haven't really figured it out yet because you have to like collect crystals and like drop a destination crystal. So if I'm understanding it correctly, I haven't even tried it yet. Like I can leave the crystal in town. That way, when I walk across the fucking world to get to my quest and I finish it, I can teleport back. But that doesn't save you from the initial journey. Um, but the funny story with Dragon's Dogma is the other day I was playing, and I was just in like the city and about to wrap up everything. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to save this. I want to see what happens if you attack, like, civilians. And so I saved my game and walked into the church and immediately began attacking the priest because, if you're going to piss people off, you might as well do something as awful as targeting a priest in his own church. And all that happened, it didn't let me kill him. I was kicking his ass and he ran away. Then all of a sudden, like, it cut to a guard showed up and I didn't see him coming because he came up behind me. But they don't fight you. It just cuts to like a cutscene of, hey, you're under arrest. And it throws you in jail. And that's about when I realized that the stupid game autosaves all the fucking time. And you only have one save. You don't save like a list of like, oh, this is save 1 and save 2. There's just a save file. So even though I saved it right before trying this out, I was fucked because it auto-saved me killing the priest, and then I had to like bribe a guard to get out of jail. And I wasn't too happy about that. I mean, it was my own stupidity, but I don't like when games don't give you an option to like just mess around and see what the world's about.
That was something I kind of liked about Amalur was you could just turn on, like, you had like a safety button and just you could turn it off and then like, hey, what if I kill that guy?
And Amalur let you kill anybody you wanted. That was pretty well. I think there were certain characters that were unkillable, but for the most part, you could walk into a town and just start slaughtering people. I love Amalur. It was on sale. It might still be on sale on Steam, and I was so tempted to buy it again. That was such a good game.
I don't have that same sort of level of affection, but I did like it. So I don't know how I'd feel about it if I played it now. I've played so much shit since then, but
well, I think the biggest thing is it's a game that I think would have had a really like would have really benefited from a sequel. It's like the first one was really fun. I enjoyed it a lot, and it set a lot of things up. And I was like, and I know they plan to make more, so I got kind of excited after finishing it. Like, yeah, I can't wait to see the next one and how they improve upon this. And then that went all to hell, like epically. One of the biggest,
One of
most
the
notable,
most epic.
yeah, of all video game history. In fact, they're the only developer I know of that has been sued by a state. So,
Like, things went off the rails
yeah,
when.
yeah. I'm not holding my breath for a sequel now. I know it would be possible for somebody to come in, and I was kind of surprised that nobody seemed to want to come in and buy the rights up at least. But I think the debt that the state of Rhode Island needed to recoup was so high that it was just more than anybody wanted to pay for that.
And you gotta, like, even though we liked it, and we liked some of the ideas in it, I honestly don't think like there's much benefit in like getting that name.
Well, right,
Um,
like it would almost have been better just to get the like technology, so you already had like the game engine, and just go from there, so you're not building from scratch. But it's not.
but even that, like, like, why give them money, to, like, you can make your own fantasy setting. That's what's great, is that dwarves and elves and shit aren't copywritten. You can do whatever you want with that, all that stuff, and like learn from those ideas. Like, yeah, I guess you could buy the engine, but was that even really the best engine for that stuff?
Well, I
I
mean,
like the game, but I don't know.
it saves you a lot of money in theory, but not if you have to pay like $100 million. I forget what the number was that they owed back to the state. So yeah, I guess it doesn't save you money if you have to spend as much money as it would cost to just develop your own or use existing whatever. We're
Right.
probably the last people in the world qualified to talk about the financial end of
If you
business.
talking to me about like video game engines and shit like that is like talking to me about nano machines from Metal Gear.
Well, they're
Like, just
basically the
I
same
don't
thing.
know.
I think they're little magic like
They're
things that do
magic
stuff.
technology. Nano machines are like midi-chlorians. Like, they're just, it's all about the force, I think. That's the plot of Metal Gear, right? Jedi.
Something like that. So, so I played Dragon's Dogma, and then the other one that I know you're just dying to hear me talk about, but I finally, after like 2.5 months away from it, fired up and updated Heroes of the Storm. There's like new heroes that I don't even know their names or what they do or what roles they play. There's a new fucking map that took me. I had no idea there was a new map. So when I launch into a game and it puts me in this map, I'm like, oh, where the hell am I and what do I do? But that it's I love Heroes of the Storm. It's fun, and I know that you're just like dying to get into it. You're just waiting for the right time.
Yep, chomping at the bit.
But that's really all I played this week. It was one of those.
It's just one of those days.
There's a handful of other games that have either recently come out or have been out forever that I've wanted. That like I was tempted to pick up over the weekend, and I'm like, I'm in the middle of stuff. I don't have the most like money right now. Payday's not till Friday, and so I ended up holding off. And I just ended up sticking with what I already
What
had.
you what you know, yeah. The Witness came out, and I like that's actually a game that's been on my radar for a long time. Like, yeah, I liked Braid, and I was, eager to see what that guy was doing next. And now that The Witness is out and it's getting a good reception, like, I'm just sort of like, at first that was like a no-brainer, like, oh yeah, got to buy The Witness. And now I'm just like, I'll wait, because like that game's not going anywhere, and I have other shit to play right now, and there's just nothing I've read about it that makes me compelled to like, oh, I
Which
gotta
is,
play this
but
right
that's
away.
funny because it's been overwhelmingly positive. But it's like, oh yeah, everybody likes it, but
But it's a
that's
but it's a very specific positivity where it's like, it's, yeah, they like it, and I have no doubt it's good for what it's trying to do. But I mean, I watched the Giant Bomb quick look of it, and it's like it's the type of game that kind of annoys me. Like if you can't write a review for it, then don't. Like if there's a point where you're saying like it's really hard to describe this game. Like if you're writing that down, like then just fuck it, just write a regular thing. Like don't try to
Well, shit.
encompass
There goes my
everything.
like review strategy for the rest of the year, where I'm like, well, it's hard to say if I liked it or not because I really only played 5 minutes, but
It's hard for me to say if I liked it. It's going to be even harder for me to say if you'll like it. 9 out of 10. Um, but yeah, like if people are like, well, if we give away too much, it'll ruin the game for you. Like as part of, I guess the cool thing about the witness is how it surprises you with certain stuff.
see, my thing
But
is, it wasn't. I don't want to say it wasn't on my radar because it was getting so much attention. Like it was impossible to do what we do and not know about it, especially since it's been in development for a while. But it, I just had no interest in it, and I think the biggest thing is not anything specifically against the game. It's just I don't love puzzle games, and what concerns me is people like it, but I've also heard that like somebody's like, oh wow, this person it only took him 21 hours to beat. It took me 40 hours. I'm like 40 hours of puzzle
yeah,
gameplay. It sounds like hell to me. Like that's
well, that's what I mean. Is it sounds like hell to me right now. I actually really like puzzle games when I'm in the mood for that kind of thing. Right now, I'm in the mood for exactly what I'm playing right now, um, which is Dark Souls, and then round that off with Paper Jam, and XCOM 2 will come out, and regardless of how I fucking feel about that, I'm gonna play it because XCOM 1, I wasn't in the mood for that, ended up loving it. So um,
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
that's is that even still there?
I don't know.
Died?
No, I
I
think
don't,
it's buy our fucking
McDonald's.
food, you fat asses. Like they
Big
piss me off.
two McChickens for $4. Come get it.
There's a radio
That's like
commercial
that.
going around right now that oh man, it makes me, and it's funny because shows how I'm just like everybody that I complain about because it pisses me off to the point where I'm like, fuck you, McDonald's. I'm never eating there again. And then I've had it like twice in the last month, but it's kind of a stupid thing. But the commercial, one of my biggest pet peeves, and we've probably talked about it before, but like if I'm ever arrested for murder, there's a 99% chance it's because somebody was eating loudly because I can't fucking handle that. There's like obnoxious eaters, and that's what the commercial is. It's like this guy's like, a sausage sandwich, and this like woman comes in like, oh, is that a sausage sandwich? Can I have one? And he's like, yeah, it's at McDonald's. Like, and it's like I don't get what the point of like.
Well, the
Why
point
do
is
people have to
it's a
fucking
sausage sandwich.
but why do they? It's like, oh, well, I'm glad you made the person eat like that because I wouldn't fucking understand that he's eating your sandwich if you just said, "Hey, are you eating a sandwich?" But
Well, no, well, that's what's fucking you up is that you're treating this as a sandwich. It's a
such a
sausage
sandwich.
sandwich.
And to be honest, I
So,
mean, like I say, it's more to do with my own personal. I mean, I know a lot of people can't fucking stand obnoxious loud eating, but like all that goes through my mind is what you're saying. Everybody that eats there is a big fat fucking slob that eats like a cow, but we are. I mean, I eat there, and I'm a big fat fucking slob that probably eats like a cow. I don't annoy myself when I eat because I'm the one eating it. But
mm,
no, I mean, I even had that complaint with the new Star Wars movie. That scene near the beginning where Rey's like, she trades in her parts to get her rations or whatever, and she sits down and she's just like, I'm like, you don't have to make her eat like that. We get that she's hungry and that she's eating. Like, have her eat like a normal person. But TV and media, it's like they feel like they have to make it like, oh, if you can't hear them smacking their lips, you'll never, it just won't register that they're eating food. But
all right.
anyway,
So,
that might be my
yeah.
dumbest, but still most impassioned rants that I've ever had on the podcast.
Well, I'm kind of, and I have a short memory, so fill in the blank for me. But about halfway through that, I was like, how did we come to this? I had a thought ready about the witness, and now we're talking about loud eating.
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't know. I forget.
I don't. I have no idea how we got from A to B on that one. That was probably the most weird. Like, I feel like we skipped like half the show.
Yeah.
But
Normally we don't
yeah,
go to talking about fast food until we're like out of things to say. We're like, oh yeah, by
until
the
we're
way,
getting closer to dinner time.
here's our thoughts on food service.
But yeah, fuck, man, you completely
Well,
fucking threw
okay,
me off.
okay. To get back to the witness, what are your thoughts on like pea jar gate or whatever the fuck that was? Like, I missed that whole
Catheter,
thing.
catheter gate.
Yeah,
I have no thought whatsoever.
yeah,
A guy has to pee, let him do it,
yeah.
or he needs to. He made the game. Fuck it. Fuck off. It's not. It's bullshit. But yeah, god damn. I'm sorry. I'm recovering from that fucking stroll down your psyche we just took.
Yeah. The
but-
witness, it's out. People like it.
Yeah, like, you know, and I'm sure I'll pick it up and I'll play it at some point, probably some point soon. But what I've seen of it is line puzzles, and like, and it kind of goes back into that thing I was talking about with Mario and Luigi, where I like puzzles and challenges to be incorporated into the world in some respect. And from what I've read about The Witness, it doesn't really do that. Like, the most you get is that you complete enough line puzzles, it unlocks a gate and you can go to the next area. And the island is beautiful, which I don't deny.
Oh
It looks
yeah, the
fucking-
graphics. If it was a game that had a mode where I could just like walk around the island, then I'd probably be a little more interested. But
Well, that is the game. Is you
I
walk
have to
around
be
a
smart
deserted
enough to
island.
figure out the fucking puzzles. And
But
that,
it's not.
I don't-
But not really. Like, the actual areas of the island aren't locked off to you. It's just you're locked off from other puzzles in those areas. But the game is actually surprisingly open, which is fine. It's just to me, I'm still. It's a matter of what I'm in the mood for. I'm not in the mood for 40 hours of fucking. I don't think I will either beat The Witness or I won't fucking finish The Witness if it takes me 40 hours. But I'm not in the mood for like frustrating brain teasers like that, and then just counter that with like, oh, but you can stroll around and look at pretty trees and shit like that. That's fine, but then my head goes into that thing, which is like, I'm sure the game's good for what it's trying to do, but if there's like really such a disconnect from like what you're doing to like your environment, then why did that take 8 years to make? Like,
Well,
if you're just
granted,
building line puzzles.
But everybody says the puzzles are designed really well, and it can be hard to design good puzzles. But if they're all the same kind of puzzles, typically you come up.
Well, they're not. Well, the only thing they have in common is you're trying to get a line or lines from one point to an end point. And at first, it's kind of just like a maze, sort of like any sort of maze you've done on like a paper in elementary school or something. Just get from start to finish. But then they add a lot of different mechanics and stuff, and that's what I'm saying is that for what it's trying to do, the game does look good. I'm just not like, I'm surprised how not interested I am in that right now, because I'm not thinking about. This is something that people constantly keep saying about The Witnesses. It's the type of game where you struggle on a puzzle for hours, go to bed, and then you wake up and you get it in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like,
Or I've heard that
I'm
it's
just-
like a great game to play with like somebody sitting next to you, so that, and that's good. I mean, that's what a good puzzle will do. Is it throws you off because you're so focused on what you think you need to do that you just can't see
Right.
the clear answer. And then sometimes if there's somebody else there, they're looking at it a different way. So I
right,
mean,
you know, the perspective is important in a good puzzle game. Watch, we're gonna talk about it, and then I'm like gonna get it in my head, and I'm like, "Fuck, I need to buy The Witness." And I'll buy
to
it
be honest,
tonight.
I was a little surprised that you had. I knew you were interested, and I mean, I knew why you didn't because Paper Mario or Mario and Luigi Paper Jam just came out, and I didn't know you're still in the middle of Dark Souls 2s and stuff. But I still kind of like had this feeling like he may just go ahead and pick that up. So it wouldn't have shocked
And
me.
I
But
will eventually. It's just you know, sooner or later I know I'm gonna buy it.
and
It's
it's
just
one of
getting
those.
myself in that frame of mind where I'm ready for like you know, I think of all the great puzzle games I've played and just like th- there's a very specific point I have to hit where I'm just like I'm ready for that sort of challenge because puzzle games more so than any other game really make you feel stupid. That's
Oh God,
like
I'm already there.
like
That's part of the thing with why I wasn't all that interested in it because
like I feel dumb playing when I lose in Dark Souls. But there's a certain element in other games where it's like I lost due to a failure of execution, and I can fix that. Um, a game like The Witness, it's gonna be entirely your brains holding you back, and you're gonna overthink shit. You're gonna underthink shit, and and then like you get pissed off at yourself, and like yes, yeah, I mean, as great as the game looks, it takes me a little while for me to be prepared for the amount of self-loathing I'm gonna have to feel. And if the game's fucking takes me 40 hours, then yeah, I'm really going to hate myself by the end of it. Because I'm not going to be thinking to myself like, "Wow, I'm smart. I beat the witness." I'm going to be like, "It took me fucking 40 hours to fucking beat a line puzzle."
see,
Um,
that's another one of the things that's a little daunting to me. Is a lot of time, well, not a lot of times. I I always kind of hate to put it this way, but depending on how you define it is true. Like games are escapism. And the reason I say I hate to put it that way is because I think it gives this connotation that it's like, oh, I can't cope with real life, or real life sucks, or I just, I can't do
true
anything
for
in real
me.
life, so I'm escaping into this alternate world so I can pretend. It's like no, I work, an 8 hour job, 40 hours a week, like a normal, like I don't overwork. I know there's people out there that work like 80-hour weeks, but it's still, tough. And then you have your adult things and bill paying and housekeeping and, that kind of stuff. So when I play a game, that's like my, okay, time to like wind down. And when you have a game that really makes you think, there's nothing wrong with it. And I do like them from time to time, but I really have to be in the mood for it. Otherwise, it's like, man, I've been, working hard all day and my mind's shot. Now I have to try to figure out this like fucking complex puzzle. Like that doesn't
Yeah.
always sound appealing. Then there's and don't take this the wrong way either. I'm not complaining about it like some idiot people were doing last week, but at $40, it's a $40 price tag. That puts it beyond my like just
That
impulse
frivolous
pickup. Right,
spending.
right.
Yeah.
I don't think that price
But,
is wrong or unfair or too much or ridiculous or anything like that. And I'm not saying I would never spend $40 for it necessarily. Although, like I said, I'm not that interested in the particular game.
but that price tag, I know what you're saying
Yeah,
because
I mean
I'm kind of the same way. To me, that's when like once you hit that $40 mark, or like, that's more of a commitment to,
well, it puts it up
and
there with like the retail $60 release. I get that it's still $20 cheaper than that, but my financial decision making at that point is, can I afford to spend this chunk of money on one game? Which is stupid
right,
because I'll turn around and within like a week and a half's time buy like six $10 games, which spending more money. Although you can justify that more mentally by like, yeah, I spent $60, but I got six games instead of one. Um,
right.
we all have, and unless you're fortunate enough to have like just so much money you can spend it without thinking, but I have X amount of dollars that I can spend on games, and I can either allocate that all to like a couple big games, or there's a ton of small games right now, and even more coming out soon that I'm really interested in. So if I buy a bigger game, that means I'm not going to be able to check out these other games. So you're just constantly wrestling with that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally understand that. And I'll even admit that's partially putting me off on that is that I can afford the witness right now, but I kind of want to just like if I could, I'd feel better if like okay, can I maybe wait till my next paycheck. Like, it's that kind of thing where it's like, if I don't need this game right now, then maybe hold on to the money until
Yeah.
I feel
Well,
like I really do
and
need to
again,
play it.
especially knowing things like XCOM 2, and there's a handful of other expensive games that are coming right out very
Firewatch
shortly.
is
Oh,
coming out
that's right.
soon.
That's right. The 6th of February, maybe. It's like
Yeah, and
in a
that
week
and
or
that was
two.
fucked up. And that was wrong of them to fucking bring that game out around XCOM. It's like, dude, I got so much shit to do. I'm never gonna
Mhm.
beat Dark Souls 2 by April.
And then
It's
it's
never gonna happen.
I know you're not interested in it, or at least not. I don't think you are. But the Division, I for whatever reason, the closer and closer we get to that coming out, the more and more I'm like, yeah, I'm almost positive I'll be playing that. And that one's not till March now, as long as it doesn't get delayed again. But still, that's only a month-ish away, 6 weeks. Um,
Did you sorry to distract, but did you hear Mighty Number 9 got delayed again?
oh yeah, that's in my notes here to talk about because that's it's
Man,
to me it's
fuck
hilarious
that
because I
game.
never cared about that game, but
I went from like, oh cool, a Mega Man revival to this is looking rough to like this looks bad to now I'm just laughing at it because like holy shit. This
well,
game
yeah,
was supposed to be
it's
out like a year ago.
yeah.
Like
Well, this latest delay officially put it past the year mark of when it was originally supposed to come out, and for a 2D platformer, like I know it's
that
unfair
doesn't
to assume like what goes into games and not, but it's not like they're making a big fucking open world massive RPG that's
a
online. Like it's a
fucking 2D platformer based off of a fucking platformer that already exists that looks like shit that
well, that
doesn't
would be
look
the
like
other
it's
thing. If
adding
it's like, oh,
anything
it got delayed again, but look how damn amazing it is. It'd be like, yeah, that's fine. Make an awesome
right.
game. But it's like, oh, it got delayed again, and look, it still looks like shit. Like,
Yeah, you look at that and you're like, is this going to be on like the original PlayStation? Because that might look okay.
well,
But
and to be clear, I don't necessarily just mean like if you're not that it visually looks like shit. Although it does. I mean, I've seen worse games from a graphic perspective, but there's nothing remarkable about it. I mean, most indie
it,
platformers that come out are on par with what I've
to
seen of
me, it
it.
was like, it was a complete, not a flat out deception, but definitely kind of a misdirection how they promoted that on their Kickstarter with like how that game looked in the
Well, and
concept
that's
art they showed.
and it'll serve as a great example because we really need to approach Kickstarters differently than we do. When a Kickstarter like that came, if you remember that, I know you do, but anybody else listening, that Kickstarter when it came out, they had zero game to show. It was literally one of these. Here's who we have making it. Blah blah blah. Mega Man. Blah blah blah. Here's what we want it to look like. It was all hand drawn concept art, no game engine, no gameplay, no proof that they can make it do anything that they say they want to do. Although, in backers' defenses, why the fuck shouldn't you assume that they can make a 2D platformer in 2015 or 14 or 12? I don't even
Well, you
remember.
would think that Inafune has been around Mega Man long enough that he would have picked up some of the shit that that team had done with Mega Man. And I guess this is what he picked up, but like the problem with that concept art was like they didn't just show like the robot, like they didn't just like show the characters and stuff. They showed a drawing of like how their vision looked of like you like, and I would have
Well,
loved an entire game in that sort of 2D art, but I understand why you couldn't do that, but why does the fucking game look nothing like that art
right.
at all? Like stylistically, it doesn't remotely look like it.
And it makes you start to wonder if Inafune, who gets so much credit for Mega Man, was really that guy where they're sitting around and the team's like, okay, well, we have to, you know, here's this big long formula that'll calculate how many pixels from this jump to this jump and like how much that, all the like complex parts. And they're like, and what do you think, Inafune? And he's like, let's make Mega Man blue. Like that's his contribution to the game. And they're all like,
What if we How about he has a brother named Blues? So
And all the
yeah,
people that are like
What
actually doing the hard work of the game are looking at him like, how do you get credit for this, you asshole? Like,
but I don't remember who said it. I want to say it was like a, another big name from Capcom, but I don't remember. It was a really famous tweet. Everyone pulls out when this subject comes up, where the guy said like when asked about Inafune, he's like he's a really good businessman. He's not a creator. Like
yeah.
he gets credit for Mega Man, but he is not the creative force that made Mega Man great. He's just the
And I
head
think we're
honcho.
starting to see that. And we're also starting to see just because you know traditional business, that doesn't mean, and I don't mean just with him, but Kickstarter's a whole different beast. Look at Double Fine. It's not like they were the new kid on the
Well,
block when they first hit Kickstarter and all that went down with. I forget which one of theirs because they've had a
Broken
couple.
Age.
Right.
Yeah. I think well, I mean, this is what something I think developers need to and publishers, anybody who's using Kickstarter needs to kind of understand from a game perspective is like if you're just, like most studios can afford a flop on some level unless they put everything they have into it and it just bombs catastrophically. But when you play with something like when you're toying with the idea of like a revival, a spiritual successor to something that people fucking adore, if you fuck that up, your company, you're already in a hole.
Right.
Like, because then your next project, nobody's going to want to take a chance with it because you already proved like we can't trust you
I
because
don't
you
know
said
though.
we were going to.
Maybe it's different for movies, but I mean Michael Bay.
Michael Bay makes money.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Mighty Number Nine is not going to be
No,
fucking.
I that's one that it's getting to the point where it's like, yeah, now we're at least 50-50 that this is going to end in a class action lawsuit. But
Yeah. There's gonna be class action lawsuits. There's gonna be White House petitions,
change.org.
and I get to say I resisted the poll. Me, the fucking Mega Man
Like,
addict that I
all
am,
right.
did not donate a goddamn dime to that game, and I am happy about that.
But and it is what I was getting at with this will be one for the history books and that if I can't tell other people how to spend their money, but one of my biggest rules with Kickstarter, and I think I've only kickstarted two things, maybe just the one, Shadowrun Hong Kong. I know I did, but that was because that was the third in that series, and I knew I wanted that fucking game. And it, at like $10 or whatever the minimum was to get the game. It wasn't like it was a huge risk, but one of my rules with Kickstarter is if the Kickstarter shows you nothing but we want to do like
This
again
is
it was
what we
all
would like
yeah
to
concept
do.
worse the funnier ones are the ones that are like, oh, the reason we need to raise this money is because we want to buy the license for this. Like you don't even have the rights to what you want to make yet. Like that's a huge fucking red flag because
Yeah,
it
help
just
us pay for the rights.
but it doesn't
Yeah,
mean they're even going to give them to you if you have the money. I mean, rights are tricky. But then
right.
there's these ones like,
And
if we get an X amount of money, this big name person will come on board. And it's like, those are all terrible ideas because it tells you that anybody, me and you, can fucking sit around and come up with an awesome game just by putting down what we want to see. But
I think in our history as a show, we've had a shitload of
yeah,
ideas that we'd
both
love.
games, movies, TV shows,
And
books,
I think
food.
and I think after every one of those ideas, you've made the joke we should make this a Kickstarter
Yeah.
because
Um,
because surprisingly accurate. Like that's
but
what's
yeah, as somebody that wants, or not wants to, but as a consumer that potentially is pledging money towards a Kickstarter, I want to know that you can do the thing that you say you want to do. Uh, oh yeah, that's a great example. And that was one though that
yeah,
anybody
they
should
sure
have looked
did.
at. Like again, me and you are not like financial experts by any means, especially like corporate financial expert. But anybody with half a brain should have looked at that one and been like, yeah, this does not add up. You cannot do what you say you want to do with the money you say you need. Like that was dumb. Um,
Yeah.
and somebody just came in and bought. Oh yeah, I forget, like some other company, and it was like the most surprising, stupidly. Like, why would you?
Ill-advised fucking business move
Yeah,
ever.
well, I think they got it for like $20, but still, it's like at that point, why just make your own thing? Because whatever. Um, Maybe they just
So,
bought it so they could harvest the like six people that have its like credit card information. Yeah.
so I'm
Oh well.
drinking this brisk half and half stuff, and they always
Which
put like
which half are
custom
you on?
art.
Like,
I'm on the bottom half,
okay.
um, as usual. Um, and so they always put like custom art on the bottles, and one of the artists' name is Matthew Kuntz.
Nice.
Kuntz. I like it.
Nice.
I don't
Probably
know.
Kuntz,
I
but
felt like
I'd call it
sharing that
Kuntz.
with the world.
I know. I was worried because now that like we're back in both video and audio format, you were starting to hold your bottle up, and I'm like, oh, good, because I've thought of a bunch of like visual humor things now that I'm like, yeah, probably should avoid that, and I'm glad that that turned out to be one that you don't need visuals to appreciate. Sorry, Matthew,
No. Sorry, man.
or maybe not. That
Uh,
could be a cool last name, but
I just like the idea of somebody named Mr. Kuntz.
I like the idea of the family showing up at a restaurant and when they ask for your name, you're like, cunts.
Kuntz Party of Four.
And then what I would do is intentionally pretend like I didn't hear him call me. So when the host starts to go up to people and be like, "Excuse me, are you the cunts?" You could be like, "What? Why? I never!" And then like storm out
Well,
like you're
not
all.
like it's that type of name that like, and having like, my job, you like we're one of those stores that have like memberships and stuff. So you have to read people's last names sometimes out loud, and you get some awkward situations. But you always like try to default to one that doesn't sound like
That's the
you
thing.
know.
Even if like you knew what it was, I guarantee you'd be like Kuntz.
Yeah, it would be Coons. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's still a thing.
Yeah.
Nothing funny about my
So
last name.
I do.
Everything funny
Gibson.
about Mighty Number Nine, because that's again having nothing invested in it and not caring about that game at all, and not caring if it ever comes out.
Well,
It's just funny.
yeah, and what delayed it again is leaderboard shit, like matchmaking shit. That's it.
Hmm.
I didn't even know there was matchmaking. Like
Oh, they didn't either. That's
they're
why it's delayed it. They're like, shit.
they're so far off the fucking path of like, at what point there's got to be a point once this is all done where Inafune's like he's just thinking about to what went wrong because I've already made that up in my mind that it's gonna be bad. But he's gonna be like, well, what the fuck went wrong? And I'm really curious at what point in the development did shit get away from him? Where like I'm sure he had good intentions.
About the point, I think that they sat back and said, yeah, we could probably kickstart this thing.
Well, should we finish something? Nah, they'll fund it.
But the other thing to keep in mind on something like, I don't know, it was Red Ash is the one that ended up securing outside funding in addition to the Kickstarter, right? Not Mighty Number Nine.
I don't fucking remember.
I think so. Because the other
Sounds
thing to
likely.
consider with delays on Kickstarter projects, if Kickstarter is the sole source of income, they didn't plan for these delays, and people tend to not want to work for free. So the more it gets delayed, the more that their like employees are having their houses repossessed because they can't pay bills anymore. So you tend to the extra quality you're able to put into a game with a delay tends to get diminished over time, unless they go out and get other funding.
Yeah.
But
I'm so glad. Like, I think we've had conversations in the past about like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to make this game? Or I think we all, and I think we all kind of like have that interest on some level of like in this hobby. Like we want to see that other side of it. But I am really relieved that for the better part of my time with video games, I'm on this side where I don't have to fucking make them, because that seems like a nightmare on a lot of levels.
I think it goes back to I was just talking to somebody about this the other night. Like, it's fun. I screw around with Unity all the time, and I actually came up in the 90s. I was into 3D modeling and stuff, and did a lot of modding of things like Quake and Duke Nukem, and I thought for a while I wanted to do that side of things. And it's really fucking fun as a hobby when you're just screwing around, but doing it like when your whole livelihood and source of income depends on it, it's a
Yeah.
lot different. And I'm not saying it's bad and you shouldn't do it, obviously, because if nobody did it, we wouldn't have any fucking games to play. But there's a huge disconnect between, hey, this is fun as a hobby, and hey, I have to do this for a living.
Well, yeah, I mean,
For the latter, you really, really have to be dedicated to it. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying not to do it, and a lot of people can, but you have to really, really want it. Like, I'm willing to
well, I mean,
spend
like,
100 hours a week working on this thing.
well, I mean, we all like Mario Maker's a lot of fun. I like designing levels in it. Now, imagine like you have to design levels for food, and
Right.
they have to be good levels. Then, like, yeah, that
And you don't
seems like a
start out with this
stressful
nice
nightmare.
little screen that lets you just place pre-made things and
Yeah,
physics
you
and
have to
stuff. It's
first
like,
make that screen,
right. So,
and then you have to make sure all the objects work,
and
and
it's
then
fun.
like you have to lay it all out.
I wouldn't like say that I wouldn't one day like to try to have like a small team of people make something just for fun, like not as a we're gonna quit our jobs to become an indie studio, but it's not easy. And
Right.
again, that's evidenced by these not just Kickstarter projects, but that's the breeding ground for it of these people that have years or decades and sometimes of industry experience and still completely underestimating what it's going to take to make their project. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
So video games, not an easy
Yeah.
business.
Nope. We have any more hot news? I have some news.
You say that like
I'm
you got a
going
girl
to
pregnant
be,
or something,
well, kind of.
kind of.
It's like that. I'm taking a big step, a big personal step in my life. In March, I will be an amiibo owner, like Derek. So,
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
and I'll start calling you Papa Ben.
yeah. Amiibos are like babies, right?
Oh, yeah,
You gotta
pretty
take care of
much.
them. Uh, but
That was
yeah,
so unexpected. For the split second after you said it, I had to like scan my memory banks. Like amiibo. What the fuck's he talking about? Like,
yeah.
I just didn't
Well,
recognize that word in that context.
I pre-ordered Twilight Princess HD, and the physical copy of that game, as it stands now, they don't have one that doesn't come with the Wolf Link amiibo. Um, and Amazon has this cool thing where Prime members, if you pre-order it, you get 20% off. So it's actually cheaper for me to get that copy of the game physically with the amiibo than it is to get their digital download version, which is only $50. Like, because like
Yeah,
with the 20% off, it's like $47 instead of 49.
that 20% program just started like a month or two ago, didn't it? Like, I thought towards
This
the end of
month.
the yeah, okay. And that's a pretty
Yeah.
awesome thing. Except for I don't remember the last time I've bought a physical copy of a game. Although
I do it a lot.
I don't know if he even has a physical copy, but one of the stupider purchases that I'm tempted to make is Final Fantasy Explorers came out this like yesterday, I think. And that's the 3DS Final Fantasy game that's like more of a it's almost like a Monster Hunter type game. It's funny because it's like Final Fantasy gets this game that's kind of going more towards the Monster Hunter formula. And Monster Hunter, I forget what it's called, but it has one coming out that's closer to the Final Fantasy formula. And it's like, why? Yeah. But I don't think either of those are bad ideas. But I'm kind of tempted to play that. But that would require me to go downstairs and actually like dig my 3DS out of storage. And if I was going to do that, I really should be responsible and dig it out for Zelda: Link Between Worlds, not some Final Fantasy game that I may or may not like. But
Well, fuck, get both.
yeah,
But
I should.
definitely get a Link Between Worlds. Like I think that is absurd. That that not only that game, because that game goes back to
To one of my favorite
everything
games
you
of all
would
time.
love.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And we gave it game of the year. And one of the people in this, like one of the key people in Njoystic has not even played it. Like after 2 years, fuck that. You
I'm
need to get that goddamn game.
sorry to interrupt you, but I just dropped the pin I've been fiddling with for the whole entirety of the show, so I think we're going to have to wrap this up. Because if I don't have something to, like, mess around with mindlessly while we talk, But no, you're right. I really need to play that, but... God, I haven't
But you
touched
won't.
that 3DS in forever. Now, you see, you say it that
Yes.
way. Now I'm going to do it just to spite you. Like, oh, yeah, you think you're so fucking smart, Ben? I'm going to go spend money I don't have and buy 2 3DS games. Take that. Although I do get
Just
paid on
go ahead.
Friday.
You showed me.
So, animal facts. I don't know when you became like this master zoologist, but some point in the last week, like I think Discovery Channel or National Geographic needs to give you your own show.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Because I've learned
Um,
more about random animals from Twitter the past couple days than, and I thought I knew animals. I like animals. Animals are cool. They're
Well,
not.
we're
They're,
not I'm a host of a little program on Twitter called Fun Animal Facts. And it's not just about learning about animals. The more we learn about animals, we really learn more about ourselves.
well spoken.
That's the goal. It's an educational show. You know, you get away from the ha-has and the video games and talk about some serious stuff going on in nature. Because you never ask yourself these questions, you know. And I finally did.
Yeah, I decided to kind of just like I was enjoying them so much. I wanted to put you on the spot this week so that you could share them, with our wonderful listeners that we love so much. Because not all of them follow us on Twitter. Some of them are moms and dads that make up like 50% of our listening audience.
right.
No, I'm
Well-
very thankful that my mom does not listen to the podcast.
So yeah, if you like, I can read some of these ones off Twitter.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
maybe I'll make that a thing for every show. I'll just come up with a couple new fun animal facts specifically for the show. Because that would be just as relevant as anything else we talk about on here.
We do get those people that pop into the chat during our show like, oh, hey, what's up? What do you guys talk about? I'm like, we don't fucking know.
What do you guys talk about? Fucking porn, mostly.
Yeah. Boobs. Did you see the
boobs.
boobs on that one chick? They were big.
So some boobs are small and some are big, and they're all interesting. All right, so fun animal facts with Ben and I guess Steve now.
Oh, no, I let you. This is all you. I'll just sit here going, ooh, ah, uh-huh.
Yeah, so
that's-
I'll just read off what I can find here. Pandas could be ripping your throat out as we speak, and I would still be able to go daw while it happened.
Well, unless it was me, then you'd be cheering. Like, fuck yeah, Panda. You did what we've all wanted to do for years.
Well, I mean, because I was watching that video that came out in Philadelphia, and really the East Coast, they had a huge blizzard. And they showed a panda at the zoo rolling around in snow, and I realized that even if it was rolling around in like human blood,
In trails,
that would still be kind of cute. It maybe more so. Dun dun dun. Okay. Fun animal facts. Some penguins will walk towards a mountain until they collapse and die. This is because exercise is horrible for them.
And
That is actually.
that's one of those, like you said, that teaches us about ourselves, because I think that applies to me as well.
Well, that's actually a true thing. My brother told me about. He watched this video where like penguins some penguins like just get fixated on a mountain and they start walking towards it and they die. like because they just want to get there. It's weird.
So, like,
Um,
penguins are Journey.
well, if you think about it, the characters in Journey were very much like they
Penguin.
were shaped like penguins.
Yeah, with
But,
scarves.
yeah, the scarves.
I'm gonna have to reach out to what is it, that game company?
Yeah.
Yeah, I said we might be the first people to have cracked the deeper meaning behind Journey. There's been a lot of speculation.
Well, Journey was inspired by the journey that goes on in nature every day.
By penguins.
And that's what I'm here to catalog on Twitter and on here for you, dear viewers. Fun animal facts. Gorillas hate getting caught masturbating just as much as humans do, maybe more so. Pray to God you never find out.
That would be very awkward. Like,
I think, out of character for a second, I think that's actually a true fact. I suspect gorillas probably hate it more than we do.
well, because they don't really understand. See, from a gorilla's perspective, being caught masturbating isn't embarrassing because they're a gorilla. It's just very maddening because they don't get to finish. And they're like, you fucking interrupted me and I was having fun. I'm way bigger than you. You die now.
Yeah. All right. Fun animal facts. The giraffe serves no purpose. Even the things that eat them think they're shit.
Does anything eat giraffes? I guess lions.
Yeah, actually, because this is a true educational program, Steve, I actually looked up and made sure they had predators before I wrote that. I have to make sure everything's true.
Lions, probably alligators. Alligators in Africa, they fucking eat everything.
Yeah, really, giraffes are kind of, they're useless.
Yeah.
There's
There's probably like chipmunks over there that eat giraffes. Like, fuck you. What are you going to do about it? You can't bite me.
Yeah, probably various parasites.
Yeah. But
fun animal facts.
Wait, I do have one contradictory thing to that. You say that they don't serve a purpose. They sell children's toys. Jeffrey the giraffe for Toys R Us. Like, that's the one giraffe that rose above its station as a giraffe to become something important.
That's a front. He's a drug dealer.
Well, but that's important too.
That's a fun animal fact for you.
Jeffrey the giraffe is a drug dealer.
He's a drug dealer who's corrupting a community and bringing it to rubbish. Lock him up. Fun animal facts. Your cold doesn't care what time it is, and neither do grizzly bears. I don't know why I like that one so much, but it was one of my favorites.
I don't have anything smart ass to say about that because it's true. I mean, grizzly bears don't care what time it is. Like,
I don't. Yeah, that's one that reads better on Twitter than I think me repeating it. But
yeah,
whatever.
Well, I think it's because the watches that a grizzly bear wears, it doesn't say like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. It says, "I'm way fucking bigger than you o'clock," just all the way around the face of it. So they've got one time.
Right. Fun animal facts. The hippopotamus came up with its name just to fuck with you.
And I believe it. Hippopotami are jerks. Like, if you've ever watched anything about them, they're assholes. They're mean.
Doesn't hippopotami sound like a function on a scientific calculator?
It's probably not the actual plural of hippopotamus, but
I hope it's not hippopotamuses, because that's even more complicated to spell.
Yeah. Well, that's what they sing in that one stupid Christmas song, but hippopotami, it's like amoebum.
Fun animal facts. Parrots mock humans because of their troubled childhood. Pay them no mind.
And that's probably true, too, because have you ever seen a bird that's had a good childhood? Their moms push them out of the fucking nest. Like, fly or die, bitch.
Yeah, it's... If you ever feel like you're being bullied by your parrot, it's not your fault. Mm-mm. There's a lot of baggage there when you're a parrot. Fun animal facts. Dogs know exactly what is or isn't bacon.
I liked that one because that is very true. Now, you could continue that out. They know exactly what is or isn't bacon. They just don't fucking care because if you're going to hand them something, they'll
Yeah,
eat
well,
it
they'll
anyway.
eat fucking anything.
Right.
But this arrogant idea that humanity has that we're tricking them, they are so much
Yeah. Well,
wiser than we
it's
give
even
them
that
credit.
like thing that we asshole humans do to him, where we pretend to throw the ball and we're like, he thought I threw it. It's like they know we didn't throw it. They're just like. From the dog's perspective, they're like, this guy's so freaking stupid. He doesn't know how to throw a ball. I feel sorry for him, so I'm going to pretend to fetch anyway. Like, dogs know what's up.
Yeah. You know who else knows what's up? Lions. Fun animal facts. Lions are stronger than anyone who has ever been eaten by a lion, and many who haven't.
That's true.
That's true.
Well,
These are all true.
that's true. I don't know why I keep saying that that's true.
These
because
are all scientifically true.
vetted these, each and every one of them, beforehand. And
Yeah, I've run them through extensive research and testing. It's just
you are a PhD in animal facts, not animology or zoology or whatever the fuck the actual study is called, but animal factology. You've got your PhD.
yeah, in factology.
Mm-hmm.
Fun animal facts. Bears think you look fucking stupid when you go fishing.
So does my wife.
Well, that's something that like that one dawned on me like kind of like bears going fishing, like they're so much better at it than us.
That's what's
And
yeah. We show up with these goofy ass fucking hats and vests and big poles and stand there for hours trying to. And the bear just fucking walks in the water. Like, look, I want to eat a fish. Bam! Here's a fucking fish. Like bare hands, literally bare hands.
yeah, and then like imagine that bear doing that, and then he looks over and sees you in your dorky fucking hat with your tackle and shit, and just
Our high waist or like waist high like boot like things so that we don't get wet. It's like, look, bitch, I'm just jumping in here naked, grabbing a fish, and then I'm gonna go eat it. If I'm still hungry afterwards, I'll come back and grab another damn fish.
so. And here's the fact that almost canceled this entire segment. Fun animal facts. That Eye of the Tiger song put a lot of unnecessary pressure on tigers to perform. This is just one more way humans hurt them.
I do like to think that, like, just like we talk about students these days, like, oh, test scores are too important and they're stressed out like lions. I like to think of the, like, lions out in the savannah, just like, there's that damn song. I'm expected to do so much more than just lay here in the sun and eat carcasses that somebody else killed.
Can I just chill? Why do I always have to be a champion?
Right.
Like, sometimes I just want to be accepted for what I am.
Yeah.
And our last fun animal fact for today. Seahorses are not actually horses at all. Scientists don't know what they are, and they freak them the hell out.
The male seahorses give birth. So that, yeah, that's like the freakiest fucking thing you could say about an animal.
And you can't ride them. So
Well,
what are they?
you can't ride them. I mean,
No one can ride them. That's a fact. If you,
next time I go to the ocean, I'm gonna get a picture of me riding a seahorse and just like send it to you, like, haha, fuck you, Ben. I
yeah,
pulled it
so
off.
at least tune in next week where I'm sure I'll have more fun animal facts for you. Probably some that are original and never before aired to the world. But the facts must be known about nature so we can be more receptive to its lessons.
I need to get you some proper lighting so you don't end up just being a silhouette on it, but then a green screen so that the next animal facts segments we can have like you actually dressed up in like your safari outfit and like the background like you're actually in the wild like peeking through grass. Like you got to do the Steve Irwin voice.
Yeah, some proper theme music stuff. Yeah. Yeah, what can I say? I'm natural. I am the natural. I'm Professor Natural.
You're something.
I'm a fucker. I'm a dumb fucker with way too much time on his hands, and this has been some of that time.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the Njoystic or watching the Njoystic cast pod thing. You can find us on Twitter at Njoystic. You can find Steve at Phaser3D. All these links are there. I don't know why I'm repeating them. But at BP Matlock is mine, where there will be more animal facts and more nonsense on the side of that. Stuff goes up at njoystick.com. Surprisingly, I know. But it happens. So check that out too.
And if for whatever reason you watched us live and still want to listen to us after the fact, you can now find the Njoystic Show on iTunes. Like, that's a big honor. They don't let just anybody onto iTunes. You have to, like, make something and submit it to them first.
Yeah, you have to wait a while for things to get approved.
Mm-hmm. The vetting process is pretty intense. There was a good, like, 8 hours between when we submitted the show and when it popped up on the store. So yeah,
and that's
I feel
that's the type of dedication you're getting with our show.
So yeah, like, thank you, Apple. I talk shit about your products all the time, but I'm honored to be on your platform.
I'll talk shit about them until I receive one for free, and then it will be my favorite thing ever. That's a promise. That's the Njoystic guarantee. Unless it's Hand of Fate. I got that for free, and fuck that.